Therefore, agreeing that Ishvara's knowledge, Ishvara's awareness is not really stifled. God's awareness, Ishvara awareness is not conditional. It's not that Bhagavan knows, God knows, only when the conditions are fulfilled like the body and the senses and the mind. God's awareness continues to be awareness, even independent of the body, senses and the thought. So in other words, it means awareness is not conditioned by body, senses and thought. When we say God's awareness is not conditioned by body, senses and thought, God's awareness, then we can't qualify awareness as man's awareness or God's awareness. Awareness, in fact, awareness as such, awareness which cannot be qualified as belonging to God or man, awareness as such is what we otherwise call God really. Awareness unconditioned by the body, senses and the thought is otherwise called God. God doesn't have awareness, God is awareness is God. Therefore, if awareness is God, then that God, the awareness, is not conditioned by the body, senses and the thought. And that is stated in these two lines, that awareness knows the last savetti vedyam nachatasyasti vetta. Awareness illumines everything, but nothing illumines awareness. In other words, see, God knows everything, but nothing can know God. Meaning, God objectifies everything. God objectifies the five elements. God objectifies the body. God objectifies the mind. But the mind, the body and the five elements can't objectify God. In other words, God is unobjectifiable by the senses. So God knows everything, but nobody knows no object. God knows all objects, but no object can know God. No object can know God. Savet, that means awareness illumines everything. Awareness illumines forms, sounds, tastes, touches, smells, memories, pleasures, pains, waking dream. But no form or sound, these physical details don't illumine awareness. Not only that they don't illumine awareness, they need not illumine awareness because awareness is self-evident. It's like the sun illumines the forms and the forms don't illumine the sun. And again we have to say the forms not only don't illumine the sun, they need not illumine the sun because the sun is self-luminous. In physical terms, it is self-luminous. In fact, what illumines doesn't require to be illumined. If the illuminer also requires to be illumined, then definitely then it becomes regress ad infinitum. If the illuminer requires to be illumined by another illuminer, then that illuminer also requires to be illumined by the third illuminer, and that requires to be illumined by the fourth illuminer. In this manner, we precipitate a dosha called anavastha, which is a dosha in thinking. We precipitate, deadlocks. We precipitate these problems due to error in thinking. And that error in thinking is that the illuminer also requires to be illumined. Is a conclusion, it is a wrong conclusion, and that wrong conclusion leads to anavastha. This is called dosha in analysis. These doshas in the analysis are called doshas. Otherwise, in the world there is no dosha. There are no flaws outside. There are no flaws in the existence. There are no flaws in the existence. Everything is one truth, whereas there is a flaw. See? It's a very beautiful thing to understand this point. All flaws exist in human thinking. All flaws exist only in human thinking. Objects don't have a flaw. Air gives me life. What is the flaw in it? Sun gives me life. What is the flaw in it? Food appeases my hunger. What is the flaw in it? Water gives me what it can, quenches my thirst. What is the flaw in it? A roof over my head gives me shelter. What is the flaw in it? Money can help me buy things. What is the flaw in it? Car can bring you to the class and take you back. What is the flaw in it? There are no flaws in the Srishti. But supposing I think that I have car, I have food, I have money, and therefore these themselves will make me happy, that thinking is a flaw. You see? I have money, therefore my money will make me happy. Supposing you say my money will buy me things, there is no flaw. I can bring the entire Khan market home. ठीक है, कोई बात. Have so much money, bring the whole Khan market, but don't bring Khan. Don't bring Khan. Bring Khan market also. So, money can bring. There is no flaw in thinking that money can buy things. But the moment I say, I have money and it will make me happy, this is a flaw in thinking. And any flaw in thinking, that flaw in thinking will make me unhappy. That is where I become unhappy. That's called really, I am taken for a ride by the flaws that I commit in my own thinking. My own flaws. These flaws are called doshas. These flaws are called dosha. Therefore, illuminer requires to be illumined is a dosha. If illuminer requires to be illumined, then it leads to the dosha, anavastha. So awareness illumines the whole Srishti. Awareness illumines the waking state, dream state and their sleep state, meaning their negation. Awareness, sleep is not again something, it is freedom from, it illumines, I see the waking, I see the dream, I also experience freedom from both. Thus awareness illumines the presence of the waking and the dream, and it also illumines the negation of the waking and the dream, and that illumining awareness is not conditioned by body, senses and thought, because it illumines the body, it illumines the senses, it illumines the thought, and it also illumines their absence. When there is no thought, that is our knowledge. I know the thought, I know a state also freedom from, a state free from thought. In this manner, awareness by nature is not conditioned by the body, senses and thought. Not only it is not conditioned by them, it doesn't require to be illumined by another awareness. Thus awareness is by nature God. Awareness is by nature eternal. Awareness is by nature time-free. Awareness is by nature unlimited. And that is our Swarupa. To be the unconditioned awareness, to be that unnegatable awareness, to be the non-dual awareness, is what is called Brahman, and that Brahman is the Swarupa of every living being. And therefore that is what Mahabhagya is. That awareness thou art, that Brahman thou art. But if this is not understood, that awareness has no negation, which means I have no negation. As the conscious being, I have no negation. If this is not understood, then one takes oneself to be conditioned by. That means I am conscious only when there is body, senses and the thought. In this manner, there is a problem. So because man thinks awareness, man's definition of awareness is a thought. For him, knowledge means a thought. For Shastra, knowledge means awareness. This is the thing. For the Shastra, when the Shastra looks at awareness, knowledge means unnegatable, unconditioned, unnegatable awareness. Whereas in ignorance man thinks that thought is knowledge, thought is awareness. When thought is, awareness is. When thought is gone, awareness is gone. This is called error about awareness. Thought is awareness. When there is thought, there is awareness. When there is no thought, there is no awareness. It is an error about awareness. This is an error about awareness. This is an error about the truth. When a person says when the thought is, awareness is. When the thought is gone, awareness is gone. When a person says, that means you seem to know a state when the thought is gone. And that means you seem to know when the thought is, I am. When the thought is gone, I am gone. When you say, that means you seem to see the going on the thought. That means you see the negation of the thought. If you are seeing the negation of the thought, then you are there even when the thought is negated, is not there. That means your experience is proving conclusively that awareness doesn't go when the thought is gone. That's all that is to be grasped. When thought is gone, awareness is not gone. When thought is gone, all labels are gone. know what is thought. Thought is not really that I am the form also comes under the thought. I am all my knowledge about myself as an individual, that I am a form, that I am born, that I am my name, my form, my parenting, and the memory of my entire life, my thought about my future, the past, the future, the entire me as an individual is all comes under thought. Therefore, when the thought is gone, when a man says, when the thought is gone, he says, when the thought is gone, he is referring to a state where the thought is gone. He says, when the thought is gone, awareness is gone, he says. When the thought is gone, awareness is gone. That means you seem to know a state when the going of the thought is known to you. When the going of the thought is known to you, then the one who knows the going of the thought has not gone. That means experiences are never telling a lie to us. Our experiences are all the time true to the truth. There are conclusions, wrong conclusions contrary to the truth, because I don't look at the anubhava. I experience the thought, I also experience the negation of the thought. That means my experience is true to the truth. That is, that the awareness is unnegatable. That I am unnegatable. What is negated is only thought. And thought includes in it my entire life. My entire life. Thought includes in it my form, my name, my past, all the memories of my past life, my parents, the entire life, the entire me as an individual, the entire biological me and entire me. When thought resolves, thing resolves. When thought resolves, I go back to the pre-birth state. You see, pre-birth, there is no thought. In deep sleep, there is no thought. When there is no thought, I go back to pre-birth state. Sleep also is what? Freedom from thought. That is also experience, that is not a belief. And blackout also calls it blackout, but that is also known. Therefore here Bhagavan says, hey, when we say God's awareness is not conditioned, whereas man's awareness is conditioned, God's awareness is not conditioned, man's awareness is conditioned. When we make this distinction, understand, we are not making any distinction between awareness and awareness. What we mean is awareness by nature is unconditioned, and that awareness unconditioned, independent of body, senses and thought, awareness is called God. Not God's awareness is unconditioned. Awareness as unconditioned by the form, the senses and the thought, awareness as such is God, Parameshwara, Param Brahma. And the same awareness, ununderstood and misunderstood as synonymous with thought, makes the same being with that notion Jiva. So man's awareness is conditioned means man thinks that thought is awareness. Therefore for him knowledge means sense perception. For him Knowledge means sense perception. For him, awareness means sense perception. And for sense perception, I require senses. And for sense perception, I require the body. For sense perception, I require the mind. Therefore, I say that my knowledge depends upon the body, the senses and the thought. This view that my knowledge depends upon the body, senses and the thought, awareness depends upon the body, senses and the thought, is a view about the awareness. This is anadi adhyasa, about the awareness which is independent of the body, senses and thought, which is not conditioned by them, which is the illuminer of the body, senses and the thought, which is also the illuminer of the negation of the body, the senses and the thought. That unlimited, unconditioned awareness is viewed as what is born in thought. What is born in awareness? A thought. So, Shastra also accepts, okay sir, Jiva's knowledge is subject to being stifled. Jiva's knowledge is stifleable, can be stifled, whereas God's knowledge can't be stifled. Shastra says, God's knowledge can't be stifled. Whereas man's knowledge can be stifled. Then immediately we start thinking, what is great about God, that His knowledge is not stifled, whereas our knowledge is stifled. What is this bias? Knowledge is knowledge. That is because what Shastra is saying is not that God's knowledge is unstifled and man's knowledge is stifled. What the Shruti is telling is knowledge as such. Awareness, knowledge as such can never be eclipsed. And knowledge is not synonymous with thought. Knowledge is truth. Knowledge is one's being. When we say me, that is knowledge. To know, to be means to be aware. Therefore, the one who is aware of the waking, the one who that is waking, the knowledge of the waking state is knowledge. Knowledge of the dream state is knowledge. Knowledge of their negation also is knowledge. Therefore, there is no negation of knowledge. There is knowledge pertaining to the negation, not negation of knowledge. This reversal is Brahmajnana. This correction is Brahmajnana. Knowledge has no negation, but there is knowledge pertaining to any negation or creation. Knowledge has no creation, knowledge doesn't get created, but there is knowledge pertaining to the creation of something that's created. Knowledge has no negation, but there is knowledge pertaining to the negation of anything that gets. Thus, knowledge has no negation. Thus, unnegatability of knowledge, eternity of knowledge is Swadaha Siddha. That the knowledge is unnegatable, that the knowledge is experienced as unnegatable, that the experience is experienced to have no negation. I have to say that. Experience is experienced to have no negation does not mean I am making one experience a subject, another experience the object. Knowledge is evident to have no negation. Therefore, if knowledge is evident to have no negation, it is evident to have no negation. Not that it is not evident to have negation. It is evident to have no negation. It is evident to be always there. That knowledge is not understood by man. He always thinks knowledge means only perception and memory. And this perception and memory is conditional. Therefore, Jiva Jnanam, man's knowledge can be stifled, whereas God's knowledge can't be stifled. In this manner we put it. But what is its tathparya? Knowledge as such has no negation. And that knowledge which is unnegatable is called God. The same knowledge misunderstood is man. Knowledge as it is God. Knowledge misunderstood as condition is man. Not man has conditional knowledge. The very eternal knowledge, the very eternal unnegatable knowledge, the being, misunderstood as synonymous with the thought, born in awareness itself, synonymous with the thought, is called Jiva. So God is Jnanam, man is also Jnanam. Jnanam as such is God, Jnanam distorted is Jiva. Jnanam distorted is man is what? He doesn't have any dimension. Jnanam, I know that is called the person. And he says, I have a form, that is not really Jiva. The form is not Jiva. The one who is aware that I am the form is Jiva. Form is not Jiva. The one who thinks, that I am the form is a Jiva. The one who looks at himself as synonymous with form is called Jiva. That means who is Jiva? It is Brahman. It is Jnanam. Thought of as different, thought of as conditional is Jiva. So the same Brahman, which is unconditionally existent, is taken as conditionally existent. That is why I say, when form is I am, when form is gone, I am gone. When senses are, I know. When senses are not, I don't know. Actually, awareness exists unconditionally, and awareness remains awareness also unconditionally. So, what is there unconditionally, choicelessly, what exists choicelessly is taken to be the form. What is choicelessly awareness, eternal, unnegatably awareness, is taken as sense perception, as conditionally awareness. Therefore, God and man are not God viewed wrongly. That is exactly what Bhagavan says. Tas srishtva devan prajna. Bhagavan created a form and entered it. He becomes Jiva. See? Bhagavan created. Because, whenever you make a house, then you occupy it, then you lose your freedom. You can't go anywhere. So, Padi Raho, you make a house and you occupy it, then like me, you should all learn lessons from me. I made a kutia, and every time I go only there. I can't go anywhere else. You lose your freedom. That is why you see Aniketa. Akasha is the roof over your head. Chalte raho. So Bhagavan also created a body and he occupied. And from then face the music. The tathparyam of this is, the one who is in equation with the form is none other than that Ekatva. Tathparyam is important. The one who thinks that I am the form is none other than the being which is independent of the form. Thus, awareness being unconditional, awareness, the existence of awareness, and also its nature of being awareness, that is also independent of any upadhi. And therefore, before the Srishti, awareness can see. This is the statement. Srishti prat. Tad Ikshata. Sankhya school says, how did God see before creation? Because in order to see you require the body and the senses. Siddhanti says, God does not depend upon the body and the senses to see. Why? Because by nature, God's consciousness is unstimulable. It is always, nothing comes in the way. Nothing comes in the way. And everything is born. The five elements, the body, the senses and the mind are born in the awareness which is independent of the creation. See, I mean, the creation can take place in the source that should be there independent of the creation. So the body, the elements, the body, the senses and the thought are born in awareness which is independent of these details. Therefore, it is the awareness which is independent of all these details saw them and created them. Simply means what? These details which are unmanifest in awareness become manifest. Seeing the unmanifest is called manifest. I see the wave in water, that is called manifestation. The wave is there, then I come to see it, that is called manifestation. When it rises, I see it, that is called manifestation. Manifestation and perception are not two things. Any differentiation has a problem. When it becomes a manifest, I see it is a wrong thinking. When it becomes manifest, I see it is wrong. When I see it, it becomes manifest is wrong. There is no krama sequence between manifestation and perception. Perception of something itself is called manifestation. If you don't create a sequence, then it will create a problem. Anyonyashya aa jayenge dosha in thinking. See, how can I see and make it manifest? Because unless it manifests, I can't see. And unless I see, it can't manifest. Because manifestation should be, anything should be, nothing can be proved to be independent of knowledge. To be, for an object to be, and to be seen to be and to be seen to be, cannot be separated. They have no sequence. They are two descriptions of the same thing. For an object to be and to be seen to be are one and the same. For the dream object to be and to be dreamt to be. For the dream object to be and to be seen to be or dreamt to be is one and the same. This is Vedanta. Understand? This is Vedanta. Vedanta says, hey, don't create any sequence. This world to be and to be seen to be are one and the same. And therefore manifestation also is percept. Therefore Bhagavan saw it means what? Seeing the unmanifest is itself called creation. And therefore there is no flaw in when Vedanta says God saw uncreated. They seeing the world itself is Krishna. For a Sankhya-vadi, this is enough. For his kind of intelligence, this is enough. What he said. If the Purva-Pakshi is profounder, if the student is very brilliant, we can go into other nuances. But this much is enough. Bhashikara is given enough to silence the Sankhya-vadi. What is the Sankhya-vadi saying? God can't see because he has no upati. Whereas Pradhanam can see because it has the quality of sattva. And sattva is capable of thought. That is what he thinks. That is what he thinks. And such confusion. In Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says, Sattvat sanjayate jnana. Sattva-guna facilitates knowledge. Bhagavan does not mean Sattva-guna facilitates thought. Bhagavan only means Sattva-guna facilitates grasping the truth. It can prepare you to understand the truth. Whereas this Pradhanavadi thinks that Sattva-guna is the material for thought in general. Thought in its entirety. Thought in its entirety. The material for the thought is Sattva-guna. That is wrong. Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna are the qualities of the mind, of the thought, which is a creation in the truth. Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna are the qualities of the thinking, the thought. As an individual, that I am the body is neither Sattva-guna nor Rajoguna nor Tamoguna, understand. I am the body is an error about the truth. Within this error, I am thinking as an individual. I have desires, vagara. Within this error, I have a mind, I am thinking, and this thinking can have three qualities called Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna, because I can be sluggish, etc. I can have impulses, that is all Tamoguna. Negative thinking is Tamoguna. Ambition to enjoy is called Rajoguna. Reflectiveness, goodness, values, all Sattva-guna. Sattva-guna facilitates, prepares the individual to break out of error. See? Sattva-guna prepares the individual to break out of the error. That is why Bhagavan puts so much of emphasis on Sattva-guna. Because through Rajoguna you can't break out of. Through Tamoguna you can't break out of. Because through Rajoguna you are thinking of the object. There is a question of breaking out of. Through Tamoguna, negative thinking. Sattva-guna can help you to get out of, to break out of the error. So the Sattva-guna itself is synonymous with all good values. Okay, this is what Bhagavan Krishna means by saying that Sattva Sanjayate Jnanam. Whereas some of the schools have interpreted it to mean Sattva Guna alone facilitates thought in. The existence of thought is facilitated by Sattva Guna. Pradhanam has got Sattva Guna. Therefore, Pradhanam is capable of thought. Because it is capable of Sattva Guna, he thinks he has got Sattva Guna. He thinks that Sattva Guna is there in Pradhanam. He thinks Pradhanam is a matter, and matter has got three gunas, and Sattva Guna it has, and Sattva Guna really is capable of thought. Therefore, Pradhanam can see and create. Why? Pradhanam can think and create because it's capable of thought. Pradhanam is capable of thought. Therefore, it can entertain a thought, and entertaining a thought is called seeing. So it is more correct to say Pradhanam saw and created rather than Brahma saw and created, because Brahma before creation he doesn't have any Sattva Guna anyway. Brahman is Nirvishesham according to how can he see? All these arguments have been thrashed out by saying, hey, God can see. Because the seeing nature of the seer is not conditional to the body, senses and thought. the seeing nature of the seer. Clear? We are through with this. Now, iti nanu nasti tavat jnana pratibandha karanavan ishvaradanyah sansari nanyotosti drashta nanyotosti vijñāta iti shrutehe tatra kimidamuchyate sansarinah sharirādyapekṣā ज्ञानोत्पत्तिः न ईश्वरस्येति. The Purva Pakshi asks a question. Hey Siddhanti, why do you say that God's awareness cannot be stifled, whereas man's awareness can be stifled? Bhanavadi says, hey Siddhanti, why do you say that God's consciousness is so great that it can never be eclipsed? And why do you say that man's knowledge can be eclipsed? Why do you say that? Siddhanti says, why can't I say that? He says, you can't say that. You know why? Because according to you, there is no man other than God. God alone is according to you. जब भगवान ही है, why do you say God's awareness is unstifleable, whereas man's awareness is stifleable? Why do you create this difference? Why do you create this difference? That he says here, Nanu, nasti tavat, there is not. Pratibandha karanavan, an individual, a man, a jiva, who has to suffer obstacles in knowledge. Jnana pratibandhavan, pratibandha karanavan, Ishvaradanya sansari. You yourself say there is no sansari in addition to Ishvara. In fact, you say there is nothing other than Ishvara. If there is nothing other than Ishvara, then where did this jiva come? For you to say God's knowledge is unstifleable, whereas man's knowledge, jiva's knowledge can be stifled. Why do you say that? ईश्वराद अन्यः संसारी तावत नास्ति. ईश्वरा से अलावा कोई जीव तो है ही नहीं. And who says that? Your Shruti, by which you swear, that Shruti says, Nanyutosti drashta, great vakyas. This seer is not other than the truth. न अन्यः अतः अस्ति द्रष्टा. ये जो द्रष्टा है, देखने वाला है, this is not other than ब्रह्म. न अन्यः अतः अस्मात् ब्रह्मणः द्रष्टा अन्यः नास्ति. This seer is not other than Brahman. Nanyotosthi jnata. This person who is conscious is not other than the Brahma. This seer is not other than Brahma. This knower is not other than Brahma. Iti Shrutehe. In this manner, your Shruti itself says that there is no jiva other than Brahma. In other words, there is no jiva other than Brahma. Nanyotosti drashta, nanyotosti shrota, nanyotosti vijñāta, nanyotosti manta. These vakyas mean what? Nanyotosti jivaha. There is no jiva other than Ishvara. If that is exactly what your Shastra is talking, then why do you say God's knowledge can't be stifled, whereas man's knowledge can be stifled. Tatra kimidamuchyate. Therefore, why is it said by you? Kimidamuchyate. Why is this said by you? Sansarinaha shariradhyapeksha. Man depends upon body, etc. for his knowledge. Jiva depends upon body, etc. for knowledge. Shariradhyapeksha. Jnanotpatti, the rise of knowledge in man, meaning man's knowledge, whatever he knows, that depends upon his body and senses. Na Ishwarasya, but God's knowledge is independent. Man's knowledge depends upon the body and the senses and the mind, whereas Ishvara's knowledge is independent. Why do you take this stand? Very relevant question. Are you able to follow? For this Siddhanta says, my dear, what we mean is this. Atra uchyate satyam na ishwaradanya sansari tathapi dehadi sanghata vadi sambandha ishyate eva hatakaraka giriguhadi vadi sambandha iva vyumnaha. Siddhanta says satyam. Yes, sir. We stand by what we say. We say that there is no jiva other than Ishvara. Koi hai nahi. Satyam. Ishvara anyaha na sansari. Sansari is not other than, is not parallel to Ishvara. Sansari ऐसा कोई दूसरा है ही नहीं. Tathapi, but still. See, if there is no sansari other than Ishvara, there is no sansari other than Ishvara, but still we can say God's knowledge is unstifleable, whereas man's knowledge is stifled. What do you mean by that? He explains. What we mean is this. Tathapi, but still. Dehadi sanghata upadi sambandha. The same God taken to be synonymous with the body, senses and the thought, the mind. Ununderstood and misunderstood. Associated with the body, senses and the thought. Dehadi sanghata upadi sambandha ishyateva. He is unlike Ishvara. Awareness misunderstood is distinct from, is different from awareness. Distortion of a fact is unlike the fact. It is not parallel to the fact, but it is unlike the fact. It is unlike the fact. That it is sarpa is not other than Rajju, but it is unlike Rajju. Other means, Ghata, Pata. Cow and a horse, they are called different. They are bhinna. They are bhinna. Ghata, Pata, bhinna. They are two different things. They are two different things. See, a cow and a buffalo are not only unlike each other, but they are other than each other. These two ideas must come to the mind. To be unlike each other and to be other than. Jiva as Jiva looking at himself, his existence and his knowledge as synonymous with the body and the senses and the thought. He is unlike Ishvara, but not other than Ishvara. There is a difference between unlikeness and otherness. Wave is unlike waterness. Waveness is unlike waterness. But waveness is not parallel to, cut off from the line, not like Ghadapata. So here Siddhanti says, the Jiva is not definitely other than Ishvara, but he is also not Ishvara, he is unlike Ishvara. He is not other than Ishvara. He is also not Ishvara, means Jiva as a Jiva is not Ishvara. Jiva as a Jiva is a distortion about Ishvara. Bas. I am limited is not other than the fact that I am unlimited. The fact is I is the unlimited. The idea that I am limited is not parallel to the unlimitedness. Is not also synonymous with the unlimitedness. Limitation cannot be synonymous with the unlimitedness. Limitation also cannot be distincted parallel to the unlimitedness. Limitation means sense of limitation is a distortion about the unlimited. Therefore, the Jiva is not other than Ishvara, but it is unlike Ishvara. Unlike. Vilakshana hai. Bhinna nahi. Vilakshana hai. Bhinna nahi. Jiva as Jiva is Vilakshana, but his actuality is Ishvara. That is why here it says, Deha Upadi, Dehadi Sanghadi Upadi Sambandha Ishyate Eva. We do accept that Jiva is distinct, meaning unlike Ishvara, in the realm of identification, in the realm of that era, in that perception that I am the body. This idea that I am the body, my existence is synonymous with the body, my awareness is synonymous with the body, makes me a Jiva, and that situation of being a Jiva is unlike my actuality, that is Ishvara. Unlike the actuality. Therefore, distortion is unlike the fact. The error about a fact is unlike the fact, but it is not other than the fact. It's not something totally, parallel, outside the fact. ये बहुत जरूरी है सोचना. This is what slips off the mind. This is what slips off. Because we only think in terms of only ये वो है या other than it. But where there is an error, the error is neither synonymous with the fact, nor it is other than the fact. इसको सोचने के लिए थोड़ा सोचना पड़ता है. Then you have to sit down. ये क्या कह रहा है? See? That is why Ikshatyadhikaranam. Like what? He gives an example, beautiful examples. Ghata, Karaka, Giri, Guha. Ghata, pot. Karaka, another like Kalasha, like a jar. Giri, Guha, a mountain cave. A pot, a jar, or a mountain cave. Adi, etc. Upadi sambandha, that ghata itself becomes an upadi, and the space inside it looks as though confined to that ghata. This sense of confinement, the sense of confinement of the space to the walls of the pot makes that space Jivatma. What is viewed as confined to the body, confined to the pot? The unlimited space viewed as confined. The unlimited space doesn't become confined. The unlimited space is only viewed confined to the pot. And viewed confined to the pot is viewed jiva. Viewed confined to the pot is viewed jiva. That means there is no jiva. Viewed confined, viewed jiva. But it continues to be Ishvara. Continues to be unlimited. Did you hear that? Viewed confined, viewed jiva, and remains unlimited. Remains unlimited. There is no jiva. There is only view that I am jiva. Therefore, the unlimited space is viewed confined to the pot. But actually, you see, there is a pot. I'll bring the what we call Mandukya Karika Shloka. We are doing these days, Karikakara says, my dear, the space inside the pot is not something parallel to the space outside. In fact, it is not other than the outside space. It is the same space. In fact, the pot space is not inside the pot. In fact, the pot is in space. And pot is in space, located in space. That pot also is not other than space. Because what runs through matter is space. See, this location is different. Pot's location in space is different from the book's location on the table. This is a different adhikaranam. We have a very beautiful analysis of it in Sanskrit Vyakaran. When I say pot is in clay, let us say, now forget about the space. Where is pot? In clay. Pot is in clay is different expression, is a different thing from saying there is book on the pot is in clay is different from milk is in the pot. Milk is in the pot, but it can be outside the pot also. Pot is in the clay, but pot cannot be outside the clay. Similarly, pot is in the space, but it cannot be outside space. If it can't exist outside space, then the material for that pot is space. The immediate material for the pot, that clay, the pot, the material for that clay is space, because that clay can't exist outside space, because there is no outside to physical space in physical terms. In physical terms, there is nothing outside to the physical space. There is no physical outside. There is no physical outside to physical space. So air can't exist outside space, fire, water, earth can't exist outside space. Therefore, the immediate material for space is, the immediate material for the four elements is space. Therefore, the material. Therefore, even pot is what? Space. Now, Karikakara says, space is still. Space being anantam, it is still. It is not making movement. If space is anantam and immobile, this pot that is moving in the pot, in actuality, it is not separate from, the moving pot is not separate from the still space. The moving pot is non-separate from the still space. Therefore, movement is an illusion. The movement is an illusion because the moving part is not separate from the space, the still space. The still space. I see the division between matter and space, part and space, then I see the movement. But if you see that the part is non-separate from space, then you also can see that the movement is an illusion. Is the movement. In that manner, the material for the body is awareness because it doesn't exist outside awareness. Because I have already given the master logic. To be means to be seen, to be seen, to be means to be in awareness. Therefore, body is non-separate from awareness, thought is non-separate from awareness, the whole Srishti is non-separate from awareness, and awareness doesn't move, and therefore the moving objects are non-separate from the non-moving akarta awareness. Therefore, the entire drama called Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, the entire drama is non-separate from the drama-free awareness. Therefore, the actual identity of the drama is silence. Like the actual identity of the motion of the part is silence. The ununderstood identity of the moving part is, the ununderstood identity of the moving part is the still silence, the unlimited space. The ununderstood identity of the whole Srishti is that it is the unlimited awareness, which is absolute silence. And therefore, Kartrutvam is Bhranti, like movement of the part is a Bhranti, Kartrutvam of oneself, that I am mobile, I am doing this, I understand the motion that is seen in oneself is what? Is a Bhranti, like the movement in the dream. The movement in the dream is non-separate from the dreamer, the observer who is not moving. This movement of the dreamer in the body, in the dream, one says, I am moving, I am traveling. That sense of movement of the dreamer, the sense of movement of the dreamer is non-separate from the non-moving dreamer. The dreamer as the observer, dreamer as the dreamer doesn't move. In fact, the dreamer doesn't move, and if there is a sense that I am moving, then that sense that I am moving is a wrong sense about the non-moving dreamer. Therefore, movement is a Bhranti, non-movement is the fact. That means Kartrutvam is an illusion, Akartrutvam is the fact. That is what Bhagavad Gita says. Hey, understand that your being is Akarta. Akarta means understand, he is talking in a different way. Akarta does not mean I don't do or not do. This entire illusion of being a form and mobile, being a thought and mobile, being a form and changeful, being a thought and changeful, being a form and subject to birth, being a form and subject to death, everything comes under Kartrutvam. And once being is free from that Kartrutvam, that is what Bhagavan Krishna goes about saying, Atma is Akarta. He is using that, paribhasha, technical language. Atma is Akarta. Bhagavan also says, I am Akarta. मैं तो कुछ नहीं करता हूँ, भगवान says. मैं तो कुछ भी नहीं करता हूँ. And even he tells Arjuna, even you don't do anything actually. But you think you are doing. I don't do anything. This is called discerning between actuality and the view. Arjuna is a view. Krishna is the actuality. Jiva is a view about Krishna. Jiva is a view about Brahma. And Krishna is Brahma. And therefore it is such a beautiful thing that every Krishna is Bhagavan, meaning the Swarupa, and me as an individual is a Bhakta. That means I am interested. Now previously I used to only look for the object. Now Bhagavan Krishna becomes my Bhagavan, I become a Bhakta. Jiva looks to his Swarupa. Jiva looks to Bhagavan means looks to his Swarupa. Now his journey towards Swarupa has started. Till now he has been bhatkuing in the world. Arthakama, he was lost. Therefore, certain things, even these what we call, what we read in Puranas, etc., they are very beautiful. The color of them can be appreciated if we look at them in the light of the Shruti. Smriti makes sense in the light Shruti. Smriti is beautiful in the light of Shruti. Purana is beautiful in the light of Shruti, and they have no other light anyway. They have no light of their own, because Pramana is, Shruti is Brahmana. And therefore here one says, Giriguhadi Upadi Sambandaha Iva Vyomna. You can put a mark there. So just as space remaining unlimited is viewed, similarly Brahman remaining Brahman is viewed as Jiva. Therefore Jiva, I can say, it is okay to say from one point there is no Jiva other than Ishvara. I can say that. There is no Jiva other than Ishvara. Perfect, because it is not other than Ishvara. I can also say that view that I am a Jiva is not synonymous with Ishvara, is unlike Ishvara. Jiva as Jiva is unlike Ishvara, but not other than Ishvara. And the same Jiva who looks unlike Ishvara, if he is conveyed, if he is enlightened, then what does he discover? He is indeed Ishvara. The notion that I am formed is unlike Ishvara. The idea that it is snake is unlike the fact. Is unlike the fact. That the space is confined to the pot is unlike the actuality. That unlike. And Shruti always accepts Vailakshanyam. Vailakshanya means Vilakshanata. Vilakshanata means dissimilarity, but not division. Not division. It is dissimilar. The view that I am limited is dissimilar to the fact that I am unlimited. But it is not totally other, because it is an error about it. An error about it, how can it be away from it, other than it? Can't be. That is the answer. Then we will continue. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnasam Vachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.